Primary ignition.
This is Star Wars.
Look out!
Core World News.
You may fire when ready.
From the bright side of the galaxy, I'm Greg Skondak, and you're listening to Core World News, your online news service providing in-depth coverage of the latest stories from every sector of the galaxy. Welcome to another special presentation of Andor Candor. This week, the news team reviews the finale of Andor, Episode 12, RIX Road. We now go live to the CWN newsroom to join your hosts, Ben, Grant, and Adam, for their discussion of the breathtaking finale.
All right. Thank you very much, Grex. Welcome, everyone, to another week of Core World News. Stoked to be talking to you right now. Little side note, we've been watching our numbers, and seems like we got 3 times as many listeners this week as we did the week before, and we got 2 times the week before that. So there's a lot of new listeners. So welcome. Thanks for listening to our podcast.
It's awesome.
RIX is rising, you could say.
Yeah. We have no idea what to attribute it to other than we've been asking people to give us 5 stars on their platform and write a little comment if you can. So if y'all could do that, all us new listeners, or some of you, or as many of you that care, it will change our lives in a positive way. We don't do this for money. We're just doing this for fun and for to build a little community here. So,
but in return, we will make a podcast worthy of the stone.
Yes, worthy of the stone. Someday it'll be a brick in the internet somewhere.
Yes.
The HoloNet. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So it's awesome. And if you actually email us, we will send you swag. This is proof. We own swag. I have a big old box of swag in here, and I send stuff out all the time. So get at us, coreworldnews@gmail.com.
Yep.
Sounds right. And
there's several variants of the sort of like Obi-Wan mullet shirts we've designed.
Yes.
We've got a few shirts.
Mullet Obi-Wan is the best Obi-Wan. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's for me, that's a go-to.
Anyways, sorry, I digress. It's one of the things that, I'm talking about. Whatever. No one wants to hear about us. They want to hear about Andor, episode 12, the finale. RIX Road. Sorry, second time I've made that mistake today. RIX Road.
RIX is suffering on RIX Road, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, which means that's where the confusion comes from. So past couple of weeks we've been doing the Morlana drop. We're gonna forego that this week. Ever changeable is
this episode's just too special. I think.
Yeah.
We would have covered it, in our long, comprehensive Morlana drop, but
yeah,
it's also the most straight ahead forward episode I feel of the season, where because it's the last 11 episodes have set this up, and now it's just like waiting for everything to just all the pieces have moved together, and now they're all just going to interact in one place.
Yeah, all the sort of rebel heroes converging on RIX Road for Marva's funeral for different reasons. And then chaos ensues, and it's glorious. And there's a lot going on in Coruscant as well with Mon Mothma and Perrin, and we'll talk about that. That happens early in the episode, so we'll dive right into that, I think. But to start, Dedra, some of the imagery with Dedra to begin.
Yeah, they're already giving nods to Rogue One. I don't know if any of you can see me on the audio waves, but I'm rocking my favorite Star Wars t-shirt, which is my Rogue One t-shirt that has a Death Trooper and a Death Star. It's all black and white except for the green lights. And to see Dedra in that.
2 Death Troopers. That's her liaison. She's just got 2 Death Troopers with her at all times. That's her escort. But later, dresses in streetwear and goes through the alleys of Ferrix with Corv. And I was like, Dedra is such a cool character. She's actually developing into a field agent, which is super fun.
Yeah. She may have started as a field agent. Who knows? She's just such a boss now that it's hard to think of her that way. But the fact that she's, flexible enough to be like, okay, I can just go out in my in-street clothes and be a street, operative is, a tribute to the ISB. That's what the ISB is all about. Everyone's lethal in that group.
Yes. So I will say, her being kind of subtle in her wear. My wife Carly was just like, "Yeah, it's real subtle wearing that giant white Imperial cook with black gloves.
Oh, you mean no? When she went out, she wore that like crimson hoodie. She was like
Yeah.
Little Red Riding Hood, like with Orb. Yeah, and then the rest of the time she's like, nope. Now I'm switching back into my Imperial gear just in time to get her butt kicked.
But what's cool in this scene is you also see, I think early on in the episode, you also see Williman, who's the son of the guy who owned the radio station, the Rebel Whisper Network sort of hideout, the guy who ran that place, that scrap vendor. He died, and his son is now building a sort of explosive device, and this is heavy stuff for Star Wars, and that was just immediately broached. That's like one of the earliest scenes, I think, right after Dedra.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, straight out of Hitchcock, right?
Yeah,
it's like just knowing there's a bomb that's going to go off.
Yeah, it's classic. And then so the whole plot of this episode is just ticking time bomb, but also just like this beautiful dirge of sort of like, and then like diegetic theme happening, and like I don't know, like we'll get there. Like, oh my god, like we'll get there. But yeah, just the kid building the explosive device right away is kind of haunting, and I think about it, but also like you understand, like it shows I think a hologram of his dad like in the corner of the frame, and you're like, building this for his dad who fell. Like this is dark and sad and understandable, and hate breeds hate, and this is how radicals are born, right? This is how you radicalize someone: is you torture their father and then hang him in a public square, and and he's just like, this is whatever you're doing is probably really not a good idea, but it's like I can't say I wouldn't want to do the same thing that you're doing in that situation, But yeah, Salman Pak and Wilman Pak is the son that we see there. The two green hoodie guys that were instantly a pod favorite here. Core World News. Oh, right away. Episode 1 or 2, I think we were praising those characters.
Yeah, because
they felt like the true rebels of the town, honestly.
Right.
And they wore green. They weren't wearing the sort of like Ferrix, like, daughters of Ferrix, or the sort of Ferrix orange and red,
yellow and red,
yellows, and those warm colors. Yeah, it's just they were wearing green. There's like they stood out. They stood out for a reason, I think, too. They were just like ultimate good. It was crazy. It was like the green lightsaber.
Yeah, it was. They are the green lightsaber of.
They're the green lightsaber of people. Yeah.
Great. So I'm looking here. Sorry, I had 11 up by accident. And then we get Mon and her husband, right?
Well, we get Zan, I think, telling telling Brasso about the call with Cassian.
Yeah.
And Cassian's incoming to Ferrix, and everyone's basically en route to Ferrix at this point. And I think Cassian's already there. Dedra's there. She just arrived. Again, Death Trooper escort. I think always a drip contestant alongside Mon Mothma. But Mon Mothma, this collar that you first see her in, like I was just like, is this costume real? I was like, is this a real thing that's happening on the screen right now?
It's like a 4-dimensional outfit.
Yeah, it's
like origami. I was like, what is happening?
I know
way too many creases in that shirt, but it's that.
I told my wife today that like in like 5 years, everyone's going to be dressing like Chandrillin.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen because it looks too comfortable and it looks too fly. And like,
that's how you take the Hyperloop, is you just sort of like dress up like that.
Yeah. I could definitely rock some just flowing robes.
I mean, right? That became like a societal norm. Just rock a robe,
cashmere robes.
I'm down. Let's go there.
Step 1, wear 3 robes at the same time. Step 2, you're fine. You're good. Just some like baggy robes. Yeah, you can wear like pajama pants underneath because you're wearing robes, so it's like fine.
There you go.
Oh my goodness.
Too much.
Yeah, so I mean, there's there, and then it's Nurchi is the fellow that is trying to foil the plan and make a couple bucks on the side. This is the guy that shook down Cassian Andor in like the first couple episodes.
Early setup for, but again, when you listen to Tony Gilroy talk about this season of television, he's always said like he knew where the first 2 where the beginning was, and he knew where the end was.
Yeah,
and he sort of brought a lot of people aboard to like fill in the middle and explore this education of Cassian Andor. and he's done beautifully. And I think you understand how he becomes a leader and how he becomes truly finds his voice as a rebel in the show in this first season. I think it's perfectly done. It's beautiful. It's a masterpiece, I think, of filmmaking and television, streaming. But I mean, I don't know where I was going with that thought, but ultimately,
no, that's very true. That's all that is very true. Yeah, I mean, we can't undersell what Gilroy did here. It was like a lot of the characters from the first couple of acts are now in the last act, and it was like a curtain call of sorts, and brought everyone back together. But no, the way, so I got to take it aside here. I had the greatest day that I can remember in a while. I've been super busy, as everyone has been, I'm sure, listening, but like I had the day off today, and I watched the last 6 episodes of Andor in a row. And then I watched the finale again with my wife when after dinner and before this pod. So it was amazing. It's just like when you watch it like that, it's just like scene. And it just like, they all blur together. It's just like a scene. Like it when you watch it like that, it's just like one show. And I was going to watch The Eye as well before, but it's like, it's really like 2 really long movies. And it's like the first 6 episodes and the second 6 episodes are really pretty tidy. And so, yeah. Anyways, I had the greatest
the
day.
Nemec stuff is paying off. I mean, there's just like, we're getting like, off-screen voiceover happening.
Yeah. I was really surprised by that, even though I shouldn't have been. Y'all both called it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we get the manifesto. Yeah. Voiceover from Nemec himself. Like, do not forget. And that was so powerful. In a way, like I grew up in like really liberal education, and we read a lot of manifestos, and
you read a manifesto or two? Wow.
A couple manifestos. Yeah. That was like, that was my schooling, and they were like really moving and really inspirational and, fantastic. And, some of that's gone away since I've been in school. And then to see this again, I'm like, oh, this is where the spirit of those manifestos come from. Like, this is, now I've seen this story, and I don't know. And obviously it's in a galaxy I love. And so it was really powerful to hear Nemec's words. Like, we called that it would happen, that manifesto obviously was going to pay off, Chekhov's manifesto. But
guys, I'm telling you, it's still in play. A lot could happen with that thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it will. I hope it plays a larger part than just what we saw here, where it was, just Cassian hanging out, killing some time, listening to it.
Yeah. Freedom is a pure idea. The Imperials' need for control is so desperate because it's so unnatural.
Yeah. Exactly.
Tyranny requires careful effort. Authority is brittle. Oppression is the mask of fear. Like powerful themes and ideas going on in that thing. And a lot of it was like, he alludes to the destruction of the Death Star. I think in the manifesto itself, there's like a moment where Nemec says like there will be one moment in which like the siege will break, like, and one thing will like fall.
Yeah.
And then that, to me, that was Luke blowing up the Death Star.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I know before this, we were joking around a little bit about like, if Andor hadn't gone, or if Cassian hadn't gone for a drink, he never will get arrested. He never, blah, 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 blah. And the Death Star doesn't get
those greeny Rev Nogs.
Yeah. The greeny
We didn't go get some greeny Rev.
He liked those greeny Rev Nogs. Get the greeny Rev Nogs. So if he didn't go for greeny Rev Nogs,
right.
Yeah, he'd still be on
that. Like, and we talked about it way back when, but like that Nemec's words, I think are the things that really got Cassian. It leads to the final scene of this episode, right? In a lot of ways, because you could say it's Marva's, but does he even hear Marva? Like, we'll talk.
Well, it's just idealism. It's like
Yeah.
she has an idea of what
he's running through the sewers when that's happening.
So I only caught it on my second viewing, Adam. One of the first things he says to Bix when he rescues her is, she was like, Marva was here, and he goes, she was great, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And so I took that as an acknowledgement. I mean, you could hear the like set sound like coming through the walls. You can still understand what she's saying as you're following Cassian just like sleuthing through the city. But so I
feel like the
my
backdoor
personal
pilot
headcanon
of this
is that
episode is
he could hear it.
Vixen Brasso.
Yeah.
But
That was what was really confusing to me about this episode the first time, was just like we expected this big altercation, but like Cassian's so smooth. He just like slides into the spot, understands because of a couple of visual cues what happened, and then talking to Brasso, obviously. And then is just like finds out Bix is in trouble, knows what he has to do, and then does it and slides out. And like everyone's looking for him, and no one finds him. You know,
and he has no involvement in the battle really whatsoever, which is why it makes so much sense that by the time we see him in Rogue One, I mean he's just a spy. Like if you watch that movie, he's a spy. He is not getting in the nitty gritty. He's taking people out in the shadows.
He's so unique that way because he's like an outcast of the town and a little bit of a troublemaker, right? You get that sense, but he's so beloved. And even though, we got all these hints.
Yeah, Brasso like bear hugs him.
Yeah,
like,
there was that was like, there were some epic bro hugs in this.
Yeah, this episode
like
has
five epic bro hugs.
A lot of great bro hugs.
Man, I don't have his name up either right now, but the like shipyard manager with the two dogs. Yeah. Like
I want to say it's Pegla.
Bro.
I want to say his name is
Pegla.
That's exactly what it is. It's Pegla. Well done.
Epic bro hug, and it was like they were bickering the last time we saw them, and they're just like so like, yo man, and because he lost his mom's, and
so
they were just like. Yeah. So they were just like, man, I'm sorry about your mom. Even the like kitchen guy was just like, whoa, got the drop on him. And he like almost got smoked. And he was like, I'm sorry about your mom.
I know. Yeah.
As he's walking away.
That happens. And I was worried at that point. I was like, you got kitchen guy in your six, Cassian. Just know you let him kind of just drift in the background. I was like.
Yeah. And also Anvil guy. Gotta love Anvil guy.
Oh. I think this Stormtrooper death, I think it rivals the Rogue One Death Trooper like falling off platform or Shore Trooper.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's pretty great.
Falls off platform. Great death.
I was shocked he didn't use the hammers.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah, that was. There's a lot of.
He was going to brain some guy, but he's got to save that strength to hit the hammer.
If that happened, I don't know. I don't know if that could be on Disney. But
yeah,
I don't know about that.
Yeah, probably not. And then also the Wilhelm scream, which if y'all don't know the Wilhelm.
Did that happen? Is that what it was?
No, there was two really obvious spots for a Wilhelm scream, and they didn't.
I know. I
almost think it was the same sound as the Rogue One trooper that falls, but I'll have to listen. It's great. It's a sort of awkward yell it's incredible. It's I think the greatest sound.
If you don't know what the Wilhelm scream is, Google it. But it's the most ridiculous yell that they used as a sound design effect for
but now they alter it and it's hidden and it's
they hide it a little, but so people have started putting it in all their movies. It's just a little nod, I guess.
When like 13 people die, one person will be the Wilhelm scream.
You can't have more than one Wilhelm scream in a film or a thing, like they probably had one for the whole series of Andor and they might have used it already, but anyways, that the Anvil guy kicking a guy out of the tower definitely deserved a Wilhelm scream.
So good. It was like probably my favorite moment of the episode, honestly. I was like, I evoked the biggest reaction.
I also love how much this show will take its time because the commander tells them like go get that guy. And it's literally like 5-10 minutes later when the stormtrooper actually gets up there, and I'm like, it's like when are they gonna get to the fireworks factory? I was like, when are they gonna get to the guy? I'm just waiting for it for like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, it's like real time.
Guys, I don't want to pass the flashback with Clem. Gutted.
Gutted, and it really feels like Clem was a real mentor to Cassian. And he only calls back to him a little bit, but that one line where
people look down, but they don't look past the rust.
Yeah, exactly. People don't look down
everywhere. I was like, oh, this the school of Anakin almost. Anakin was a big tinkerer and sort of loved, fixing old broken things. And I just, to me, there's something really powerful there. I think Luke had that as well.
Yeah,
you could argue.
Oh, absolutely.
I almost wish Kylo was like fixing something in the background.
Right. Yeah, like if he did his own task or something. Instead of
he does. I guess he does. No, he outsources.
He hires an ape. Yeah.
I mean, let's not
overstep the greatest character ever.
Yeah, let's not do anything that gets rid of the Sith Age.
Yeah.
I think whenever we do like top 3 characters, that it's all of ours like 1 or 2. I feel like it's.
Yeah. Oh man. I noticed in Ferrix they all use like metallurgy and like euphemisms. When we finally see Marva's video, and I know I'm jumping way ahead right now, but she talks about the dark spot at the center of the galaxy rusting out instead of like other words she could have used. Like so it's all that sort of that language, the lexicon of Ferrix, which I thought is cool and consistent. But they do that with Clem.
Yeah, they do such a great job just world building, right? With Ferrix, like just it's one of the most complete like cultures I think we've ever seen.
Marva's I think backstory, right? Like her speech almost alluding to this past where she first came to Ferrix and heard the music and sort of drank in the culture.
Yeah.
And like you immediately sensed place and setting. You were like, I get it. Like I understand. Now I want to go to Ferrix. Like.
Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge, deliver me to Ferrix. Like
I know. I loved how much music and sound was like integral to their like culture and communication, and just like the alarms and everyone answered it. The anvil obviously is genius. Like, on the rewatch, I was just like, you can hear it in the background, and then it like blends into the music, the score. It's just like
somebody's up there doing that rather than just an automated bell where it's like there's actually a sense of community because there's like a human at the center of making the noise.
It's such a cool like little wrinkle in production value like add when it's just and it so like literally reverberates through the whole thing, and they change the pitches and they do these interesting things, so it's this really sad little songs that he hammers out on his giant anvil, and it's pretty cool. So we kind of skipped.
What part are we on right now? Are we on Perrin? We don't want to go past Mon Mothma and Perrin. This is like
exactly.
Got to get the Perrin update. All right, cue Perrin update theme. All right.
Okay. So that was. And now we see this definitely, button hooked me because it seemed like Mon was trying to frame Perrin for the discrepancy in funds. Yeah. She knew she'd be listening on, and I was like, "Oh, was this her plan?" Because she told about she had a plan, and I was like, "Is this it?"
Yeah,
that's a plan.
I literally was clapping when that happened.
You're like, frame that jerk.
Yeah.
I love how they're like. I love how she's like, Cloris, privacy, and then he's listening. Like, you could hear the conversation just over the radio. That was kind of dark and ominous and great. And really cool storytelling.
But just Mon Mothma knowing that's happening. It's such. I love that reversal.
And then giving us the POV of Cloris in the front. Yeah. This is great.
But she didn't really even know. She just suspected. And so I love that she sort of called her shot like that.
Yep.
And then we had it confirmed for us as watchers that it was like, that limo driver is definitely a plant. And then they take it a step further, and we know who he's reporting to, which is Lieutenant Blevin, who is. How did
you feel about like Perrin getting into the speeder with like some scotch, like?
Oh, there's a beverage here, man.
Yeah. And like flying off into the night of Coruscant, I was like, is this a ride? I want that ride.
Yeah, exactly.
Just give me a scotch and then put me in a speeder and fly me over Coruscant.
Yeah, it's like done.
Yeah.
No, it makes me feel like I've done every party I've ever gone to wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, and then that was a scene. That was possibly the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay.
I want to talk about that a little more. So think about do we think that he is gambling or not? And I kind of hope he's not, And he's just sitting there literally going, wait, who said that? That's not true.
Yeah,
That's not true.
That's how
he's
I
definitely
felt. That was
not.
my read. That was my read. It was. I don't think he was. I think he
I don't
does
think
have
he
a
was.
gambling problem, and he should probably go to Canto Bight to deal with that.
Yeah.
Love the drop.
I bet now he's going to have a gambling problem. He's like, if you're going to accuse me of it, I'm going to bet the farm. And by farm, I mean the palace, probably.
Yeah.
That could be fascinating.
Yeah, someone on the Reddits posted this really cool like series of images, and usually I'm like, okay, but they were like everyone's prisons, and they had sort of like they had Cassian in his like actual prison, and then they had Cyril in his like cube farm.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and then they had Mon Mothma.
Yeah, possibly the greatest set I've ever seen. By the way.
Yeah, the cube farm,
No big deal.
which is a hexagon farm, but like we can split hairs here. And then but then Mon Mothma in her like embassy.
Yeah.
You know, and they are kind of like vertical bars and stuff, and there's definitely, and it's interesting when she's that little like beautiful living room with the submersed couches. The chandelier is, you can look at it in the full thing in the reflection. It's like a giant Death Star hanging over her head. Like it's an orb of light, but it's like, you know, but it's a chandelier, but it's like also it's too huge. It just feels oppressive, and it's this sphere hanging over her head, and it's like someone thought about that. That has got to be Luke Hall, the like production designer. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many like little details here.
Apparently, you can dial in the light to like any temperature too, because it's all volume behind the embassy set is the volume. That's the only place they use it. Is just
really?
Coruscant. Yeah,
which is perfect.
Just in those sets.
So good. Yeah,
that's the best way to use it, because it's like really just peeking through the windows.
Yeah, that's what's great.
Yeah.
It's kind of an exterior, but also having a medium, like a wall or windows or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's like, "Do you ever look out the windows?" And she's like, "Oh, I guess I don't." But that was many episodes before this. But no, the you know, on that rewatch, the Mon Mothma stuff was definitely, all those scenes were the ones I was hanging on every syllable. The dialogue is like stupid good, like
it's ridiculous
good.
So good.
Like no one would ever speak like that, and I love that in Star Wars you can be like, this is mythology, and yes, they do. These Chandrillans are so cultured that their like dialogue is just it's subtle, and it's beautiful, and it's understated, and it's amazing. Those scenes just steal everything for me. I love them.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, we get that, and I think then we later see Leia. They have to actually, Mon Mothma has actually decided to give Leia to Davos, or allow Leia to meet Davos' son. And I don't know if they're going to bridge houses or what, but
well, she's
seems
gonna
like it's heading in that direction. I don't know.
Sure does. Yeah, and to me that's Mon acknowledging that she's got to let her hands get dirty, you know, like he's like, I can't be this high, you know, follow Chandrillan customs and stuff and do this job. Like I've got to get into the muck if I really want to be effective here.
Which is really amazing storytelling, because parallel to that, we have Luthien, who for the first time is witnessing what getting your hands dirty means and does not like it.
I bet Perrin lives past this season too. I bet Perrin goes on. I bet Mon does everything she can to make sure her daughter and her husband are safe and just out of the way, and then
we'll see.
Continues this endeavor. I don't know if tragedy can strike that close, because
something's got to get Mon fully out of the Senate, just like living in a bunker on Yavin 4, you know,
right? And
you know, maybe her family's living there too. But I doubt it.
I can't imagine Perrin.
Yeah, and I can't imagine they'd be.
I feel like Perrin is always this like B story that could happen even into the OT. She's like, oh, I've got to deal with Perrin. Like, and it makes sense even in that timeline. Are you kidding me? It's like, of course, the Perrin B story is always happening.
Yeah, but when, like, you know, we see in Rebels Mon Mothma standing up, transmitting to the entire galaxy, being like, the rebellion is real, follow us. And it's like everyone knows who she is. I can't imagine her. If she had family, they would be safe after an announcement like that. So I don't know. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Davos.
But I was. Oh, sorry. I wanted to comment on what Adam just said. Sorry to step all over you guys. I'm feeling very verbose today. But I look because Luthien was in this. We got Stellan Skarsgård, probably the best performances like we have in this series or any series I've watched of anything lately. But like he has a really weird role in this episode. He just sort of blows in, you know, against the recommendations of Clea, and comes to this place where it's all going down, and he's, you know, talking to his people on the ground, Val and Cinta, but then he just he comes up completely empty. Cinta knifes a guy and disappears. The last time we saw Val, he was running into the battle.
We just jumped to Cinta knifing the guy and running. That was like way after the massive explosion.
I wanted this is all in service of Luthien.
Okay, all in service.
It's like because it's a weird scene where he's up on the hill watching the disaster and the explosions, and he's just sort of like looks sad and remorseful, and like he doesn't say a word.
I think he's like pumped. Right
no,
now.
I don't think he is.
Like, I think he's. This is good. Oh no, he just starts to get fearful. I think when he realizes like they know that they're all here.
No, I think the issue is he has moved these chess pieces a lot and have seen the aftermath of it. But to sit there and watch people die that he's
because of his
with,
decisions,
he's seeing what it means to get your hands dirty, while Mon Mothma is getting her hands dirty and feeling fine about it, right? I think that's what we're seeing is these two characters. Like,
I don't think Mon's feeling fine, but they're both getting their hands dirty, right?
She literally just set up both her husband and her daughter, and she seems okay with it.
I think her fretting really came in the previous episode. You see like the real her talking to her friends, but when we see her in this, she's got the steely reserve that is Mon Mothma, right? Like the telltale note of Mon.
But also, I thought Luthien would be doing more of the sort of like chameleon, you know, sort of like change of character and sort of hiding and, you know, details and all this sort of stuff. But it's really Mon. Mon is putting on a face. Mon is sort of like hiding her intentions more than Luthien. And you know, I feel like trying to keep as many secrets as she can, and that's, I don't know. She's walking a tightrope, and her scenes are always super tense, and I adore those moments. I think Genevieve O'Reilly is just crushing in this show. There's like emotional work.
Yeah, and Tony Gilroy talked about that too. He was just like, when he
realized she was a weapon, he was like, where's Mon Mothma's coming after this? I almost think Mon Mothma should just happen. I mean, Adam, I think you brought this up, right? You were like, I think Mon Mothma is like the logical next show or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
Sorry,
I don't. Yeah, but yeah. You don't waste that character / actress, right? Like you lightning in a bottle. Like just keep going with it.
I mean, yeah. If you wanted to do a post Return of the Jedi thing, I mean, she has a place in some of these Mandoverse shows that she could pop up.
Ooh, that's a really good call.
But like her most tense, trying moments are from the book's Aftermath that
right. I was going to say Aftermath
wrote. Yeah, Chuck Wendig, and he wrote that trilogy. It was some of the first things that came out of the Lucasfilm buyout, like the new canon. And it's really, she's trying to hold together the galaxy at that moment. And that would be cool to see.
Super cool.
Another thing. She's amazing.
We get the funeral procession with the music, which is the theme of the show. Yeah. What did you guys think of that when you first started?
I had a bit of a rough couple of days. Nothing bad, but like enough that I'm like, I'm worn out, I'm tired, I'm not like my best self. I got really choked up during funeral, and it wasn't that it was Marva was dying. It was something about the funeral procession thing, and then marching towards the soldiers. That was just like, I was just like, oh, the rebellion is happening. like I just got so weirdly choked up, even though I know it's like a fake world, but it just felt like it was so well done. Like it was so good.
Yeah. I mean, come on. It was my favorite thing I've seen in television in a while. So I believe it's either called set music or scene music, but it's when you're watching a show and the music that is the score is actually being performed or played in the scene. And
Didactic,
it's a tough thing to do, and it's a high production value thing to do. And you can't do that a lot. But then, so we have the like musicians warming up, which that's like my favorite part of an orchestra is just when it's playing something different.
They're actually, you can hear them practicing for the song.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah. And they're all just like playing, it's dissonant notes. I love that. I love that. And then all of a sudden they come in on one note. So it's like you do get the full performance, and it's a marching band, which is like new for Star Wars. And it's very New Orleans jazz as it's coming down, and you're feeling that.
Oh, totally it is. Yeah. That
sort of death procession, and then it's like pump up the jam, which it could have been totally cheesy, but it wasn't. It like really ratcheted up the intensity as they like double timed the theme, and and started marching really fast forward to the beat. It was like, oh, it was so intimidating.
What did you think of the droid and everyone saying "Sky and Stone" over and over? Did you hear B2 saying it at one point?
I didn't hear B2. I heard Bix say it.
I think B2 is whispering it at a low volume with everyone else, and it's worth the rewatch. I thought I had heard that in the mix, but
I wouldn't surprise me. He's the star of the show.
You
know. And they do, it's like an R2D2 Princess Leia homage, but like on a massive
That was like the
scale.
kick heard around the galaxy. That was like, how dare
you? That's when Brasso went postal. Yeah. Brasso's like, oh, well, I got a brick right now. You want to, tell Marva.
I mean, it's like
just kicked her
basically
right.
we got like a mini John Wick in the middle of the show.
What does the brick say to the fate?
Smashing people with a brick.
Well,
awesome. First of all, the speech from Marva, Fiona Shaw again, proving I think that she deserves the Emmy for this show because it's I think quite possibly the best performance on TV this year.
I commented I think last week in my little transmission about surprising that like Marva died off screen. We don't get any of that, and then
this is why. And beautiful use of the hologram, someone who's passed on, but is the message.
So we actually got two Marva speeches. Obviously, the big one was the one at the end, the call to arms. But when Brasso, after the massive bear hug that he gives,
wow! And like, you're talking about maybe one of the best scenes in the episode. I think.
So I was crying buckets, and again, I don't want to make. I never want this
actually
podcast.
Not. He doesn't relay like what Marva said. He actually just relays verbatim what Marva said to him. And it's astounding. I think it's some of the best writing I've ever just witnessed. It was mind blowing.
Again, I don't really want to make this about us, but like my mother died before, like suddenly, and 10, 12 years ago. And I never got a chance to really like show her that I could be the man that she always thought I could be and always treated me like. And so I thought that was they did that same thing with Andor here, where it was just like he never got to prove to her in his own way, in a way that he felt it was right, that he is the person that she wants him to be and has taken all her learnings. But the whole time, that speech with Brasso was like, no, I get it. You are still that person. You are going to be that person. I've raised you right. You're doing all the things. And it's like, it's that speech I never got. And it's the one that haunted me for years and years and years and changed my life. And, because I was like, all right, I'm deaf going to be this person now, And so that one, I was bawling. Yeah,
that was powerful. That moment was a lot. I was like, this moment, this happens it's just one. This is they hit you with this early, by the way. This happens before, I think, even the procession. It's like when he knows Cassian's there. Cassian is kind of this wonderful, he's just hiding in the sewers and the grates and the vents and in the canopy above, like looking out over the city. Like he's just hiding behind the walls and in the woodwork of the town. And it's just like, it's a fascinating structure just to have the main character sort of like, I guess, be a voyeur of everyone in the town. But
he's in his home court. Like he never has more swag than when he's in Ferris.
Yeah, he knows
he knows that town.
Yeah.
He found the one empty spot in town to arrive in. Like you never even see it. He's in like an empty square somehow. When he gets there, and it's like, you can't. He's like, stormtroopers aren't going to catch me.
He's actually happy to be home, touching the wall and remembering Clem, and sort of like smiles. Cassian bears a smile in this episode. Cassian?
Yeah.
Actually, you see his heart, I think, in this episode. His heart comes into play. He's like, oh, I now have to live for my heart and save those people who are closest to me. And you think like, Marva did, and obviously Nemec, hugely influential. So
yeah,
the fight's in him now. He's there.
Yeah, and he came back for Bix. Sorry, I cut you off there, Adam. What were you going to say?
No, go for it. I think we're on the same. Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he came back for Bix. Of all the things, and I was thinking about Bix over like watching these episodes, and I wonder, yes, they had a romantic thing at one time, but I feel like at this point in their relationship, he's kind of his lost sister.
Yeah,
Bix, that seems to be more the relationship. He's just like, he's giving her, guff about her boyfriend and like that sort of stuff, but he authentically cares about her, and he's like, well, she's in trouble, I'm gonna go get her, because there's nothing that can stop that man now.
Yeah,
he's actually, like, I broke out of prison, like, I can do whatever I want.
Right. This is nothing.
They've both suffered greatly, and that's why I think that connection's going to work masterfully in season 2. Is sort of like they're best of friends, and now they've both been through the ringer of the Empire, and so they're just the fight is going to be an awesome, I think, season 2. So I cannot wait.
Oh yeah, I definitely think that like this. Every character, and there's so many characters in the show, is their own hero, like are all heroes of the rebellion in their own way. Yeah. But like maybe none more so than Bix, because like you feel that torture that she goes through somehow, the way they shot this.
And they still think it's Krieger even after interrogating her, which is that just shows her strength, her fortitude.
Because she knows Luthien Rail. She could have given up Luthien Rail, and
I think so.
And she frames Krieger. And so even Krieger, who we never meet, we just see a hologram of him, and he and his whole squad all die.
Yeah,
heroes of the rebellion.
Yeah, what does Partagaz says? He's like, oh, this is just the Emperor, like wiping the mouth of the Emperor, like wiping the
taste of Aldani from his mouth.
I was like, oh my god, like this is that's the darkest summation of what just happened there.
Yeah. A lot of Emperor.
The dialogue is amazing.
Very Palpatine too, right? Like that just like just oof. Yeah.
It just showed
up. I don't know, kill somebody.
I was like, oh, it's so personal. It's so subjective to Palpatine that it's so strange.
It also speaks to his arrogance. When we talk about the arrogance of Palpatine, where he's just fake it, take credit.
That's why Marva's speech is so powerful. I think she's like the anti-Palpatine, where she's like, we've been sleeping, the Empire is a disease that thrives in darkness, and it's never more alive than when we're sleeping.
Yeah.
Everyone's been sort of under his spell, his dark magic. And so it's like now people need to rise up. I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, this is the sacrifice that the rebellion made, and what Luthien Rail made, just to out the Emperor for the tyrant that he is. And still wondering if Luthien Rail is a Jedi, because like, how does he know he's a dark tyrant? Like, I mean, yes, he's probably witnessed the tyranny around the galaxy, but like what, from the comfort of Coruscant? Like, what is Luthien Rail lost?
Right. Yeah, we still don't know why he's in this fight, really.
Right. He's just been doing it since the fall of the Republic. He said 15 years, so that takes us here.
Well, there was a vow that was made at one point, I think, between him and others. And I would love to know about, is this the circle? Is this like the early, inklings of the rebellion, basically? I don't.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Was he there with Bail and Mon and Padme even before she died? Yeah.
Who knows?
Hopefully it's told before the end. Good news is Luthien Rail's alive.
Yeah.
Guys, big for me, I was really hoping Luthien would survive. And then you guys convinced me no. Like, you're like, no, he's got to go because Mon needs to do the things he's doing just better. And I was like, well, he just did the sweet move in the ship. Like, he just started, I think, he's just started getting more to do. I think I don't know. Yeah, season 2. I don't know if it's going to end well, but I feel like he's got to go on for. He obviously he lives. That's amazing.
Yeah. This show's too advanced for my like basic prognostications. I was just like, I thought so much was going to happen this episode. Like,
Me too.
Marva was going to like be validated and sent out, and like, but way too far in advance. He's like, no, the story has to be told slow, and it's going to crawl along, and it's going to be organic.
Yeah. And then when that captain, after Marva's message, that captain attempts to throw his coat over the hologram, over the emitter.
Yeah.
It does a really
that was
bad job.
logistically incredible. I was like, and then knocks out like half the hologram, and I was like, this is amazing. Like,
it made it look cooler.
I would never think this on the page if writing it. I would just be like, oh, they try to like mess with the droid to stop the message.
Yeah,
like,
it's Captain Vanis Tigo, by the way.
I just loved that moment, and and then I guess the bombing happens, I don't know. Like, and then there's the moment that I was like, Cyril is standing right in front of Luthien. Like, Cyril arrived now, and Cyril and Mosk are here, and those scenes are just like, I'm laughing out loud when like they exchange their hats on the sky cab. I'm dying. I'm basically on the floor. And then like, I don't know, like when they're walking around the city together, they're also like almost the story I want, like the backdoor pilot series I want, stemming off of this show is just Mosk and Cyril. Like,
their misadventures.
Give me like 3 months with them, like whatever they did in a 3-month span somehow together.
Can I ask a question? Does Mosk say a single word in this episode?
I
don't think so.
I don't think so. Which I love that guy's voice, so I'm super bummed that he doesn't say anything. And nothing I recall. Like I was, he's super.
But then Adam, I thought of you when Cyril's standing right in front of Luthien, and then I thought Cyril was gonna look back like a classic sort of spy movie and like see Luthien, and Luthien was gonna kind of like look away and like try to hide his image, and then. I don't know. It didn't happen though. I don't.
I mean, you guys called it. He's obsessed with Dedra.
Dedra.
I can never say it right.
No, people. It's Dedra, but like people are just calling her Deirdre at this point. But
she introduced herself as Dedra Miro.
It's Dedra.
Yeah, it's Dedra Miro, and I was gonna do trivia tonight and be like, "What is her last name?"
Sorry.
No. We're not. We're gonna do roundup. Yeah, the Cyril stuff was crazy. I was like, he's walking the streets. He's right in front of Luthien. What was the purpose of framing up Luthien and Cyril? Like, they're right next to each other. Look at the tension of, like, if he were to turn around.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Because the tension is always ratcheted up to at least 8, and then sometimes 10.
Because Cyril could make Luthien. He could be like, oh, that's, like, I think that's the guy who... Yeah.
He says he knows him by his voice in one episode, and I thought they were going to use it. They were going to use the comms, and they might later actually. When his interaction with the Corvette or whatever, the Imperial, I forget the name of the class of ship that he destroys, because they hear his voice, and I wonder if they use Cyril to identify his voice later on.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. One less Mosk note though before we go. So there's a scene, he gets blown back by the main explosion or one of the explosions, because all those detonators go off. And he gets like smashed against a wall, and then like something gets on his legs, like falls on his legs, some like debris. And then you see him later in the episode, and he's in the same spot, leaning against the wall, just drinking.
It's one of my favorites.
Amazing.
Sitting there drinking.
Yeah. Sir. Yeah.
That guy's a legend. Even if he's on the wrong side, he's still a legend, and I want to watch him forever. He's a great foil to like straight Cyril Karn.
Yeah.
But then
very tense.
So who had Cyril Karn in saving Dedra's life in Andor bingo? Either of you guys? I think none of us.
I feel like one of you two did. I feel like you kind of.
No, I was always about like seeing Luthien. I thought they were going to really escalate things early and be like, Luthien is now compromised, and like blasting into season 2 with a sort of like more jeopardized rebellion. I don't know.
I didn't see it all. I really thought he was gonna just be like the fly in the ointment and really just bungle something for them, like just make it worse. But no, he had a very specific thing that he did.
Yeah,
right. We'll talk about that structurally. Like, I know Tony Gore thought of this as it has to begin somewhere and end somewhere, but it did feel like almost a mirroring of that same call to adventure, refusal, and sort of like, and now an inverse of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're seeing. I think we're going to see his rise in the Empire as we see Cassian's rise in the Rebellion in season 2. Because like that scene. Can we just talk about the scene in the closet?
Yeah, let's get there. I think we're there. I mean, between here and there, I think Cinta stabs the guy, like you said, Ben. So
Cinta stabs the guy.
Cinta kills Corv. And we're all
she ID'd, which I thought was heroic. That they were like, oh no, like because I was thinking about this and I'm like, they were two people on opposite sides in the same cafe scouting the same location.
Yeah. But seriously, can we just please talk about the closet scene?
It's a maintenance room, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, it does not jive at all with what we were talking about. It was like, we were like, he's a creep. My vote was that like, she's going to squash him like the bug he is. And nope, it's the opposite thing. He saves
blooming romance.
I kept going like in that scene. I kept going, oh, they're just gonna straight up, you know what? And then I'm like, oh no, she's gonna kill him. Oh wait, no, they're still.
Do you think they were gonna smash in that closet?
Can we talk about that? Like, we go by like.
I thought we might get our first.
I want to go by second of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You thought you get your first on-screen smashing in Andor?
Yeah. I was like, what happened?
I did think they were gonna like make out furiously at that moment, but I think, does he take a blaster out and sort of like jab her in the back with it and tell her to get in the maintenance closet?
He was somehow pretending to be like one of the people. I mean, I thought she was going to be torn apart.
So confusing to me.
Yeah, I thought she was going to be torn apart. She's being held by like 8 people, and then somehow, but he like puts a blaster in her back and steers her away. But because he's disguised, he gets away with it.
And Moss gives him a kind of like different hat and
yeah.
He's got the Ferrix colors on.
I thought it was a very realistic scene, and actually, like, I didn't think Cyril was capable of this empathy, but like she thought she was gonna die. Like you could see she's like, I'm gonna die, and Cyril actually just lets her just be and experience that moment and just like get through whatever, and he just like doesn't do anything, and he just stands there and is like, lets her freak out, and then she's like, as she on her own comes to her senses and like, she's like, I suppose I owe you a thank you. Which is as warm as Dedra gets.
I think it's always that says I should say thank you, I think is what she says. And like, so there's a moment there where I'm like, that's the moment where I'm like, oh, she's just gonna kill him. Like I was waiting for her to kill him, because like there's this moment of her life where she was just so powerless there. Yeah. For the first time in a long time. And there was this creep of a dude in front of her. And I was waiting for her to like take back her power by just stabbing him. Like, I really thought that might happen for a second.
Jabbing him in the neck with that, like.
Yeah.
Like, that almost would have been better, honestly. It was
a terrifying moment, though, for her, I feel like. Because this guy is just popping out, like stalking her. Like, she's like, it's you. Like, he's like, Cyril. Like my name, like I must have been terrifying for her. She's like, who is this guy? He's following me, like planet hopping, following me.
Yeah. But he saved your life, and he's if she's looking for not another upjumped attendant, he's she knows he's got her back and is going to follow her all the way, and isn't I don't know. There might be room for Cyril in the ISB after all. Sorry, what did you say, Adam? I talk over you.
Oh, he said, he's going to follow her and support her until he straight up murders her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just
serial killer? Serial killer?
Yeah.
She's like, it's you, serial killer. She's like, yeah, the serial killer. He's like, serial killer. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, this is, where's this relationship going? I don't know what to feel in that moment. It's almost like Tim's death early on, where I was like, what am I supposed to feel here? Like, what does Tony Gore want me to feel? I almost love it. I think that's one of the best parts of this story is the Cyril Dedra stuff, because it's sort of feels like new territory, like in very subjective territory. Like only someone viewing this is going to have their own idea of where that scene could go. I feel like it could go in any direction. There's just a crazy look in both their eyes, and just
that's the thing.
Sheer terror, and then meeting sort of each other.
They're such good actors, but their characters they play are such odd ducks.
Yeah,
like that. That's why I love now they're interacting, because I don't know what any of these interactions mean in such a wonderful way.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hopefully she does bring him into the ranks of the Empire, and we get the whole like what the process is to be an officer, and that whole all that stuff would give us insight into all the jargon and the crazy ranks and military ranks that people have questions about online. And it's just like you'd finally get your answers, I feel like.
And we know that we're going to time skip a lot in the second season, so he could, that could show a stark progression for him as he goes through the ranks.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to see him be. The more I'm thinking about it, I don't think we're going to see him actively go through the Empire, because here's the thing: Dedra is like, she's smart and thoughtful about her career, and that's not a guy you want to like go out on a limb for. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to be like, no, trust me, this guy's great, because he's just not. He's fine, but he has his uses. So he's like, great. You mentioned earlier, like we're seeing the parallel. That's just going to be one of her resources. So I don't think she's going to use him officially, but more of like, Cyril, go do this. Cyril, go do that. Go look after this person. Go chase down this lead.
Is Cyril the Cassian to Dedra as Cassian is to Luthien? Is that what you're trying to say? I think
that's what we're getting at. Yeah.
Well, he could be like an ISB field operative then. Like he could be like.
But I think an unofficial field operative. Like I think he's like
an asset, like a Born.
Yeah. Exactly. And like, oh no, I promise if you do this, I will get you in. Like I think it's a lot of like dangling the imperial, rank in front of him.
Yeah, that's true.
But we'll see. In 3
years. Fascinating scene. Always just I don't know what to feel. It feels, somewhat awkward. But we all get through it. We all get through it together. What do we have after that? What's after the
we have Luthien watching the revolution, which we saw. Something about the Ganji. Oh, and then we have all our heroes coming together in the shipyard, which I was very surprised about. It's the same ship that we see in the beginning.
Cassian.
Oh, you came back. Yeah. You found us. And there's a lot of echoes of that, right? That come through, but it's like all our heroes in the same place. And I'm like, son of a gun. They're gonna get away with this.
Though I don't know if they are, because the pilot follows nothing.
None of his fly low, and when she's like, yeah, I get it, and just goes straight into space.
Straight up. Like
straight up. All right, I'm glad you saw that.
Straight up though, right? Yeah. I guess
you meant like just fly right out of the galaxy, right? Very great. I mean, we'll see. Maybe that's it. Maybe he has to find all of them. But but the good news is he's in the Fondor Hall ship, which is the most overpowered ship in the Star Wars galaxy. So I'm sure they'll have no problem.
But I don't know if he is going to go to find them. Part of me almost feels like Cassian's his story to himself now is, look at all these people I harmed. Like look at this, look at what I wrought. Like the only thing I can do now is join the rebellion, try to fight the Empire, and just keep my distance, because everything I touch goes bad.
I don't know if that's the story. I mean, I get that. It could definitely.
I don't know either. Yeah.
But I feel like this is his new family, another orphan, right? And his family is who's around him, and all of the people he loves are now together. Most of the people he loves most are together, and
but I mean,
and he promised, so he will.
I guess the reason I don't want him to is because if we somehow have to get to the Cassian that we see at the beginning of Rogue One, who is pretty like jaded. So like that means if he finds them, bad things happen to them, as opposed to if we're at this point now where he's already starting to get jaded and keeps a distance from them on purpose, they might still be out there okay somewhere.
Yeah, you don't think that maybe he finds them and he takes them to a nice island on Mon Calamari and they just fish and hang out for the rest of their long lives? You don't think that'll happen?
Based on this show and these writers, no, I don't think so. I think if he finds them, bad things happen to them.
Right. I'm just surprised at how happy an ending we got to this.
I know. Me too.
Wild. Buck wild.
Yeah.
After that, Genji Moon. Yeah, he always comes through. And then the final scene really before the post-credit scene is Mon's deal with the devil there, where she, we talked about that. Very powerful meeting of the families, which is quite a thing. But Perrin's like, okay, let's go. And I think, Leia's commitment to the Elder played a part in this. She seems like this is something she wants. So
yeah.
She's like, okay, let's go. This helps everyone. Mon's story is, the most captivating story to me in all this. And that's not taking anything away from Cassian's story because it's fascinating and beautiful. But Mon's story is just as rich, if not richer.
It's showing the sort of terrors at high society that are inflicted by a tyrannical regime.
Yeah. It's a story we haven't seen in Star Wars, at least in live action. Like we've gotten the books, but this is something wholly unique. Yeah.
All the political jargon, and then this is just filling in the cracks of a lot of Star Wars lore that we talked about for 268 episodes. But never really got it. There's so much legal jargon about how they're gonna even in the ISB there's how they're cracking down on the people. And Grant, you said before this episode that this show really something made you hate the Empire.
Oh,
and, for the first time.
Yeah, I think before the show, I think the Empire felt almost like it was too lighthearted to hate them, or not lighthearted, but just just
finger tenting bad guys,
tropey and cliche. It just didn't feel intimidating and threatening, and there was no sort of maliciousness that was built into them that wasn't camp, And so now it feels real.
It does.
The Empire feels like a truly horrific regime.
Yeah.
And I hate stormtroopers after this show.
Yeah.
I thought stormtroopers were goofy and hilarious for the longest time. And now I'm just God, they're just tool. They're just part of this larger, the military complex that I just, I'm starting to hate, and I'm starting to wish it never existed. And you just I think Marva is just, turned me into a daughter of Ferrix, honestly.
Yeah, totally.
Right. I think what the show is doing is we're seeing the rot that goes all the way through the Empire. Where in the movies, and again, it's movies, so you have to do these tropey things because you only have 2 hours to tell a story. But in the original trilogy, we know the Empire is bad because we know Darth Vader and Tarkin and the Emperor are bad.
Right.
So I would argue all the saga films sort of give into this tropey sort of villain, a super villain. Yeah. And especially in the large armadas and the soldiers and stuff like that, they're just. Stormtroopers are getting blown away right away in a lot of these things, and it's just hilarious, honestly.
Yeah, Stormtroopers got some kills in this one.
Oh yeah,
it was shooting ducks in a barrel for the most part, but
I was kind of it's weird. I don't know how to say it. It's it wasn't lighthearted to me in the episode, but I was kind of just kind of rolling with it, and I wasn't feeling very tense even during the fight and the battle, even during the explosion. And then the second the commander yelled "Open fire." I just shrank
fire at will
and just sat there, fire at will, and just had my hand in front of my mouth because I'm oh, this is just I don't know,
massacre. It turns into a massacre.
See it happening, and that's the thing. This is an important rebellion because this is one of the first open rebellions.
Yeah, there were Revolutionary War vibes to this episode as well, just with the flutes and the
pipe and drum.
Yeah, but it's the Boston Massacre.
Drumming.
It's not as successful. It's not, in terms of inspiring others, it's successful, but in terms of Ferrix rebellion was quashed, it seems like.
Yeah.
I will kind of wonder what's next for Ferrix And that's interesting. You call it the Boston Massacre because it is actually pretty similar. Actually,
very similar.
What it is, yeah. And I mean, Boston still remained a seat of power for the the Civil War and rebellion, but
that's it. The Boston Massacre led to led to further uprisings, right? Because of the sacrifice, because of what they did. But the people that were there didn't win that day,
right? But they were leaders of rebellion. Oh man, this show is so cool.
It's way too good.
Yeah,
way too good. I took a lot of classes and I was poli-sci double major, and but yeah, and like I said, my crazy education was like all about revolution and taught by political refugees from other countries and stuff. I learned a lot about rebellions and failed rebellions and successful rebellions, of which there are very few. But this has just like reignited that passion for me, because it's like there's such cool stories, and I think it's so great that it's this public, and that it's like that on this, that Disney would wrap their arms around it. And that Star Wars would wrap their arms around this part that I love, and then make it so compelling, And I think I haven't seen any bad reviews about this show yet, in my random trolling through, and of course there will be, because there are always naysayers, because there's humanity, etc. And people will be people, but it's just like they just slayed this series. It's so good. And like they're just bringing the minutia to the forefront, and just making it so compelling.
It's the Rogue One of television series, which I mean that in multiple ways. It's like the movie that like everyone gets behind in the Disney era is Rogue One, right? Like everyone's like, but I know you don't like this movie or that movie, but we all liked Rogue One, right? And that was like, and now it's Cassian, right? It's like Andor. It's like, oh yeah, but we all like Andor.
I feel like Rogue One rode a roller coaster though. It was sort of like pretty good response, and then kind of drifted off into Nowheresville. And then recently though, everyone's like Rogue One was the best Star Wars movie. Like I see those posts all the time now, and I'm like, okay, all right, sure.
I love Rogue One, but I almost wish there was more meat in the bone with like Jin's sort of upbringing, and then also the Vader stuff. Just like I don't know,
it's a really good movie.
More finesse.
It's a solid movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Solid movie.
Yeah.
It has its own flavor, but it's still a Star Wars flick. I mean, it couldn't be more Star Wars because it like abuts with A New Hope, and everything is stylized just exactly like it, and it just meets A New Hope so beautifully.
It does.
That it mirrors A New Hope so beautifully, and but it's
cool to see the Death Star like use its super laser.
It
is.
Awesome.
I will say Rogue One, for a lot of rankings for me, was bottom third of the movies, which again, we're talking about Star Wars movies, so I love them all. And I think part of it was the tonality, the tonal difference between that and every other Star Wars film. But what's actually helped me is having all the Star Wars television and them allowing creators to play with tone and expand what is Star Wars. And I'm wondering now if I rank, which I'm not ready to do right now. I think Rogue One has jumped up because of that, because I've gotten a little more open to what is the tone of Star Wars.
Yeah, it's an expansion in a great way.
Yeah, it really is.
And it feels like this sort of like starter fluid for Andor in a lot of ways, just because it's got a lot of the same sort of spy espionage.
But Andor's allowed to go even darker. I feel like. I mean, Rogue One's dark, but this show, man.
Yeah. Speaking of dark, do we want to talk about the post-credit scene? So you guys know yeah.
Well, first of all, I do love that Luthien goes into a ship and says full stealth mode. But I just needed to talk about that.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, we didn't talk about the
needs to be saying that here, or whatever Dedra says.
Yeah, someone needs to be saying that in this room.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, Dedra, shut up.
Tell someone like I'm not at the board meeting, but someone needs to be saying this right now. That's amazing.
Yeah, so funny. Yeah.
Pendergast is like the Tushman of ISB.
Most oblique reference of all time.
Yeah, no one will ever get that. But he's just such a good leader. Like he listens to her, he nurtures his leaders. He's like always trying, and like everyone else is cringing to death in that room, but he's like just speaking totally normally to Dedra, and she's flipping out. She's like, "What do you mean you didn't take a hostage? Like this is what we do here.
This is just to wipe the taste from the Emperor's mouth." I was just like,
yeah,
what a boss way to handle this.
Yeah. He's like, this is
People have
what
questions.
is.
Let me tell you something. The Emperor's please. All right.
Yeah, and that's our job here. Which is
our job.
Yeah. But it's like that means that what happened was exactly what Saw and Luthien talked about, right? Yeah. They're like, if we give them this win, they're just going to take their win and feel as smug as ever, and forget about it. And I mean, maybe the Ferrix uprising is going to change that, but yeah, they're no closer to their person.
After credits, I didn't mean to derail us.
No, but I just want to go back to that because I don't think Ferrix will change it, because if anything, it's similar because they stopped it, right? I think they don't realize that the waves that's going to cause when others hear about it. I think they're not thinking about that. They're not. No one's listening, right? To quote a previous.
The more you tighten your grip, the more systems will slip through your grasp.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, after credit scene. Surprise, surprise! They were helping to make the Death Star.
Yeah,
it was like a Panavision lens commercial. It was like you just saw all the elements of the lens.
All right, I'll just say it.
For
a show that's as subtle as Andor, that was a weird ending to me. It was like that felt like
I thought to me that now that we've ended the show and we've stopped the record, I feel like to me like that ending I was like, really? Like I almost didn't need that. It's almost like a comical reveal in that like I've always been wondering where
100% didn't need that.
Where those little like triangular cogs were going, but no, I didn't like. I assumed it was the Death Star. I assumed it was a Star Destroyer.
Here's the thing: if it's not the Death Star, it's not for anything good because they're building things for the Empire, which is bad. So whatever it is, it's bad. It's real bad.
Yeah, no matter what, it's bad. And I was just like, to me, I was like, kind of like, well, there it is. That's where it was going. I was like, yep, that's right. So it was kind of like, that's about right. That's kind of how the show ended.
But the poetry and the irony that like a person that helped build the Death Star ultimately helps destroy the Death Star is is sweet.
Well, that was definitely that was great.
Yeah, but it was just funny. They just sort of dunked on us and left. That was the end of the. But I mean, beautiful shot of the Death Star.
Yeah, that was unreal.
It was well done. Yeah, it just felt weird.
I was just like, oh yeah, that's where they go. Like, of course, and like that's kind of like if you were to blurt out an answer that's funny about where those things would go, it would be like, yeah, it's going right into the super laser dish, of course. Like, it holds the brackets that hold it in. That'd be like the off the cuff like idea for where those things are going. And that's actually where they go. It's like, oh, okay, all right. That's right.
Do you feel like Tony Gilroy is watching this at home today? Because everyone does that. Everyone watches their own show when it premieres. But I can just imagine him sitting home,
I would. It's a gorgeous show.
It, and going like, wait, why hasn't gone to like watch next? Wait, who put this post-credit scene on my movie? On my show?
I wonder if he had anything to do with that. I feel like it doesn't even need to be explored.
No,
it's like,
someone
of course
snuck into the editing room after he was gone, after everyone was gone, and just like
they're like, you want to see some sweet Death Star get this? Here you go.
Nice. Why don't we rodeo it up? You guys want
to? Let's do it.
Roundup.
Let's go. Great. Now for another roundup for the season finale of Andor. Utini shot. Favorite frame composition shot of the episode. Do you have one?
Oh man, there are so many good ones. The first one that comes to mind is the first shot of the episode with Dedra coming down the gangplank flanked by 2 Death Troopers.
Yeah, the landing, the lambda. Shuttle. That was gorgeous. Obviously the Death Star post-credit scene. I've got to go with there's a stormtrooper just standing in front of the hotel on Ferrix in like one wide shot at one point. It was just stunning. I think birds fly by in the distance. I was like, this is just so atmospheric. I thought it was just a gorgeous shot.
Yeah, there's a shot during the funeral procession where they show the sheer number of Ferrix natives that look really good. Like it was just like our core group, but then there's like hundreds upon hundreds of people behind them.
Yeah,
and it was really great to
so
see that in a show. Like it felt vast.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the color, people wearing the different colors and converging was cool. I will say, if I want to get my like nerdy film like shot in there, wide shots are a dying breed, and there's a wide shot of it early with like I think it's Kaz and Brasso having the conversation that like that Cassian's on planet. But if you look in the background, it's a wide shot. You can see Norcho. Let me just get his name because Nurchi. You can see Nurchi's in the background eavesdropping.
Yeah.
But like in the distant background on the wide, and then we cut close to Nurchi after that. But I just like the use of a wide shot that's good cinematography.
Not kowtowing to people who watch things on their phones.
Yeah, right. So that's good times.
Yeah.
What else you got, Graham?
Let's go to best line, best dialogue, favorite line from the episode.
I mean, this one's so tough because there's so many good ones.
Yeah.
I mean,
This one's tough, this episode. You got to really plant your flag.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's either probably going to be, I don't want to speak for you guys, so I'll let you go, but mine was either between the two speeches we get in the show, which is the Nemec speech and the Marva, and just the Nemec line of like, where it says just like, and remember this, the Imperial needs for control, what is it? I lost it. But basically because it's so unnatural, right?
Yeah.
Like this idea of like the natural state is not tyranny. I just that really spoke to me for a lot of different reasons, but it just is like a reminder that like that is not like humans do not naturally crave tyranny or feel comfortable under tyrannical rule. But anyway, that was mine.
When he said freedom is a pure idea, that was
Yeah.
fascinating to me. I was like, what does that mean? That's kind of subjective and interesting.
It is. I mean, it sounds like, to go back to Ben, like it just sounds like someone writing like from a 19th, 18th century like philosophy, like this idea of like I was thinking of like, what is it, Aristotle and like the pure oh man, I teach ethics, but it has been a decade since I taught it. It's all fleeting from my head, but there's like there's certain things that are just absolutely true. Yeah.
That I think I got to go with the Marva. If you're going to take Nemec, I'm going Marva. Her whole speech, obviously, just incredible. There is a wound that won't heal at the center of the galaxy.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, she got a little dark side there. Like
Facts.
She knew, like she was like there. She was straying into like there's a
We've been
dark Sith
sleeping.
Lord.
This whole I almost call this the we've been sleeping monologue.
Yeah.
Now we fight. Fight.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is, I think, one of the single greatest monologues I've ever heard. And I think Fiona Shaw deserves all the Emmys for just like this, obviously, earlier moment.
Yeah.
I guess for a supporting like role, I guess she's not in the show very, very much, but she doesn't have a lot of screen time, but she's,
she was great, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to go back with Nemec. I mean, we've said it already on the show, but oppression is a mask of fear.
Oh, yeah, that's
like that was the one that I was like, yup.
Yeah, the VO is out of control. When it just starts just out of nowhere and you see like the Urabesh, I guess, scrolling across the little screen on the digital manifesto.
I thought he actually wrote it with like a
I know, me too.
But it was
like a Game Boy. He just like text all this. This is like his notes. This is notepad.
He T8'd that in like with his phone.
What if he just spoke it? What if it's just like recorded audio, basically?
Could be. with and it transcribed it automatically. That sounds like a tech that would exist.
You guys have a meme of the episode, or was there one moment, expression, gesticulation, something silly?
That's to do one would be a gif of just Mon Mothma opening up her cloak at the beginning of the getting into the cab.
Oh yeah,
which is like I'm done this day.
Let her neck breathe for the first time in like 16 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think it probably B2 emo on his side, just being like, like in the middle of the battle, like I need an adult, please.
I always like the I'm always counting on you. You always say that is like kind of a great moment.
Yeah,
with Cassian and B2.
He's like because you always come through.
Yeah, you always come through.
So good.
Of course.
So good.
Yeah.
It just respects droids. Yeah, I think Brasso drop kicking Captain Tiga is also, I think, up there with probably like a gift that I could watch forever. I was like, that's exactly the move. That's exactly what you do after that happens.
Yeah, you just drop kick a Captain.
You don't kick
B2. Someone actively headbutt a stormtrooper and it work.
Yeah,
headbutted the guy in a helmet. And
Brasso's a heavy.
Well, I think the meme is like Cyril and Dedra like breathing on each other, like heavy breathing in the closet. It's like so funny. It's me. It's you. That's
so weird.
Terrifying.
Yeah. What else you got?
Toughest look. I guess that would also be that scene.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Do we have any best new character? Any new characters in this episode?
Yes.
Standouts?
Yes. So he was like I guess they're like an honor guard, the like guys that wear red. Brasso was one of them, but they show like the guys coming down the stairs, and there's this dude with this huge white beard. Yeah. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That dude with that like
I thought we were watching Lord of the Rings for a second. I was like, that's a healthy beard.
Yeah, that guy is best new character. I don't know if he's named. I hope he is, but like he is the like 9 nub of like this series.
My vote for best new character is the stormtrooper that goes flying off the bell tower.
Yes. That's good.
Yeah,
I feel like
had that guy pinned down.
Yeah. I feel like Pegla gets a lot to do in this episode. Like, did we get that earlier? To me, it's like, I guess, if reoccurring character, best appearance. This is great for him. All right, let's go to
say best drip.
Best drip. Best drip in the episode.
Yeah,
let's go.
All right, so I have a different one. Finally, that's not a Chandrillin, even though the Chandrillin drip is like off the absolute charts in this thing. Yeah. Captain Vanis Tigo in his like
cape?
Fallen Order cape that like the stitching on the neck area, the cape in all black like leather or whatever. It's like a black like outfit with a black leather cape, and like it was a good drip. It's a good drip.
Yeah.
For an Imperial, it was like a little different than what we've seen, and it was a good look.
I'm going Luthien Dark Lord look with the hood up
and the suspenders underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. I love how he puts the hood up and then he gets on the speeder and the hood doesn't like flap back. I was like, that hood must be a heavy.
Yeah.
That's
because he's
nice
holding
hood.
it there with the force.
Yeah.
Oh, let's not talk about last week's episode.
Oh man.
Yeah, you guys have me convinced.
I think we mined that for all it's worth. I don't think he's a Jedi. I think he's into cultures of all kind around the galaxy.
Anything could happen, man. Anything. But it's hard to like see like
he does love Skycracker. He does pull out the biggest piece of kyber I've ever seen out of like his breast pocket. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go.
Yeah. He loves Ancient Warriors, Plo Koon like gear.
Yeah, he's got like Plo Koon's mask, I guess. Invented.
Yeah. She's so sad in so many ways.
My best rep is Cyril, but only after Moss gives him the hat.
Not before. That was a stupid hat. Oh wait, orange hat. Yeah.
Yeah. Now he looks like a sad little boy.
Oh man. That's
I think
fun.
that's it. I think that's it. I was gonna do like maybe best location, but this we don't. We just stay on Ferris.
Yeah, Ferris. Yeah. Rich Road.
Yeah.
Next.
Vehicles,
spin-off.
vehicle watch, any vehicle watch. I know we saw like a land tank speeder. I know we saw Lambda class shuttle, or like a little Imperial sort of troop platform. I don't. It just goes by frame one time. I think.
Yeah,
It's got a little droid in the front, and then the droid has like a little blaster.
Oh yeah, there's an auto turret.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, but it looks
On
like it has like
the-
an eye, like a optic sensor.
That's another carryover from Battlefront. They sort of canonized auto cannons and auto turrets,
That's awesome.
and I think they look a lot like what was rigged to the front
That's
of it.
cool.
So
What
they make-
ship do they use at the end there? Do we know what that is?
Well, so that was going to be mine. Yeah, that was the first. That was the ship that Cass borrows to go to Morlana 1.
Right. Do we know what that is?
It's got Y-wing thrusters on the back.
It looks like a Buck Rogers sort of thing. Like,
Yeah. The front of it, I feel like they gave it a hero shot for a few frames, and I was like trying to like place it because it looks like something maybe from the like Nubian era sort of
right.
ship.
It's got a rounded
It
sort
looks
of hull.
Yeah, it's got like a rounded like hull. It looks like something I feel like I should know what it is, and one of our listeners will know what it is.
Someone's screaming right now.
Yeah. So get at us on Discord or
Listen, go in stealth mode. You'll be okay.
Go in stealth mode. Let us know. We will credit you.
It is. Or do you want me to blow it?
Oh, do you have it?
Oh, you got it?
Got it. But wait. Come on, Wikipedia. Brioni Davon is a class of starship. Yeah.
It's a Rione Davon. All right.
Brion Davon.
Rione Davon. Does it have any other mentions next to it, like where we've seen it?
Just Andor as episode 1 in Rick's Road. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Casa and Rick's Road. So that's the one. Yeah.
All right. I feel like we've seen it in another show somewhere, but
yeah. Maybe.
But yeah,
maybe
definitely was modded because it has Y-wing thrusters on the back of it, complete with like the fact that they've taken the shielding off of them. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, if we're gonna do like possibilities for spin-offs, I just want to follow
Backdoor
Mosk. Post.
Oh yeah.
Post this like just his.
Where are we going next, sir?
With his artificial legs, he's got like mall legs.
Yeah.
What's this holocron, sir? Oh no, I think I opened it.
I think I opened it. There's someone smelting here. And he turns around and he looks directly at the smelting and then he puts his mask on. He Donald Trump's the smelting.
He Trump's smelting.
Oh.
Man.
Yeah. No, Mosk's a real one. I could watch him read the phone book. Yeah. Pretty good, man. I think we covered it. Did we cover it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Other backdoor episode, backdoor pilots. I told you, Brasso and Bix, like wherever that crew's going. Brasso the show, Brasso the comic standalone series, like Brasso.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's a great title, great name.
It is. Yeah, I could see him do anything. He's such like a classic rebel. I hope they all make it. You know, at this point, I don't know.
I was like, I think the one like tone or theme or genre they haven't touched yet is sort of like ridiculous 80s action Star Wars, and I'm like, make Brasso that centerpiece to that whole thing.
Yeah.
He's just like Dash Rendaring through the galaxy.
Yeah, John McClaning through the galaxy.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could do like just
80s Star Wars action. Yeah,
that would be fun. I'm down.
Me too. Love it.
All right, we did it. Everyone, thanks very much for listening to us this week. Again, if you could like us 5 stars, write a little, hey, these guys
or more.
Star
If
Wars.
there's 6 stars,
Yeah,
there's
sure.
7.
Number of stars.
Maximum stars would be perfect. That'd be great. We love doing this, and we're
No Death Stars though. No Death Stars.
That's
I'll let you end the show.
That's
now.
really
I'm sorry.
good. That's really good, Grant. Yeah, please no Death Stars. Okay. Yeah, so that's that. Next week we're going to talk about Path of Deceit. We're going to be the last podcast on the internet to cover Path of Deceit.
Yeah.
But we're going to do it.
we cover
It's
everything.
gonna be a big deal.
We're
here
covering
for us.
everything. Yeah, we focused solely on Andor for these past 12 weeks, or well, no, it can't be that 9 weeks.
Yeah.
But because we had to, because it deserves our attention and it's fantastic. And so now we're gonna start catching up on some other stuff and talking about
Books, some comics. Yeah, we got lots of
I
content.
picked up Yoda 1 today, which I'm very excited to read.
Oh man, so many things. So yeah, High Republic, the prequel edition of High Republic is kicking off, and it's fantastic. And then yeah, the comics are great. And again, even if you don't read them, we will tell you about them, and there's such fun stories. Oh man, Yoda 1 looks sweet.
Excellent. Yoda 1 number one right now. Yep. Yeah, and just a few weeks between now and Bad Batch.
Oh yeah, and Bad Batch. So we'll be doing that soon. We get another series, animated, but still fantastic. The original Bad Batch is great. So
good.
If you haven't checked that out, it's awesome.
Just a couple of months from Mando season 3.
Oh my gosh, is that wow? Okay, Grant's just teasing us with pages
Just
from
holding
this.
up pages of comics.
What? I just opened the first page.
I know,
Blown
my
away.
mind's melting.
Comics are incredible. I can't wait for to cover this.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, definitely hang out with us, y'all. I mean, I know you love Andor and it's fantastic, but Star Wars is fun. There's a lot of great stories going on, and we're up to date on everything, even though we're a little behind on the books right now. But yeah, we'll let you know.
To see in Convergence real quick, and then we'll dive into more comics.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is like we've watched everything, we read everything, we do all that stuff, and we come out every week. So if you want to know the state of the galaxy at any time, just listen to us, and we'll walk you through it. And yeah, so it's kind of great. But thanks very much for listening to us. We greatly appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week. May the Force be with you.
This is Grex Kondak signing off. For the latest breaking news, follow @CoreWorldNews on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you and good night.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.